Manta is here with me today. He is going to help me show you guys about parts of the saddle. I have a tripod on my way, on the way that I ordered from Amazon. And once I have that, I can do a little bit more since I won't have to hold my phone in my hand. Manta is a 6-year-old gelding, so a boy horse that can't have babies anymore. He was wild in July. He'd never been touched before. I bought him in part of a group, and he was kind of my favorite out of the bunch. He still is. And he actually ended up being really easy to train or gentle or whatever you want to call it. And he's been a very kind horse, very trainable, very smart, once he let me touch him. And I do have that documented a little bit on Facebook too, if you guys are interested in that process. He still does wear his halter in the pasture because he's not really keen on things being put over his ears when he's loose. But he's fine with being caught. He comes up to me most of the time. Manta is black. He's a little sun-bleached right now, so you can't really tell how dark he should be. And he's got, this is actually dried sweat on his butt. It's been pretty hot here. So he was a little sweaty in the pasture yesterday. He's had 2 haircuts this year. He had one right when he got to Florida and then another one more recently. This spot on his belly makes him a paint horse. So he has, and this white spot here, he has a couple spots of white on his body that designate him a paint, not just black. He's got another belly spot over there, one there, and then that little spot on his knee as well. He has one sock on his hind leg, and then I would consider his face marking to be a star and a stripe, although again you could call it a blaze and probably get away with it. The reason he has his name Manta Ray is because his face marking looks like a manta. So I'm gonna get a saddle on him, and then I'm gonna show you guys some parts of the saddle, and we will go from there. So in my other video I showed you guys a shod foot with a horseshoe on it. I wanted to show you guys a barefoot. This is Manta's foot. He doesn't wear shoes. He has really tough feet. You can see kind of the rim of his foot makes its own little shoe. And then just like the horse that was shod, his frog is right there. That's the shock absorber. So some horses don't need to wear horseshoes, and it's because they have stronger feet, just like some people have stronger fingernails. And Manta is one of those horses. Okay, so Manta has a saddle on now. I will start by saying that because I'm here in Florida, I don't have all of my tack and equipment with me that I have at home. I only have my own personal tack, tack being the equipment that goes on the horse. So because my tack is a little bit more specialized for the level of riding that I do and my preferences, if you're just starting out riding, some of your tack's going to look a little bit different. And so you just might have to make some adjustments from what I'm about to tell you. I'll try to point out those differences as I go, but that's just kind of my disclaimer. So the saddle obviously is this whole leather piece on Manta's back. Underneath the saddle is the saddle pad. This is a half pad. This one happens to have sheepskin on it. It offers a little bit more protection for his back, and also can be used to adjust to the fit of the saddle if needed, depending on the horse. Probably the 2 most important things regarding the saddle are the girth here, which is what holds the saddle on. It's attached to the saddle by these billets. Most people who are just getting started riding are going to have a girth that is longer than mine and billets that are up here under the saddle flap. My saddle is a mono flap saddle, so normally you would have another flap here you would lift up and you'd buckle the girth underneath it. Mine buckles down below. And again, that's just a preference thing. The second most important thing is the stirrup. And again, your stirrups will likely look a little bit different if you're riding at a schooling barn or what have you. The stirrups are what we put our feet in. It's a balance point, helps keep us on top of the horse, although it shouldn't be required to have stirrups to stay on, here nor there. So you can see I pulled that down. That's the position that they'll be in when we're riding. We run them up and tuck them in safely away, so that they don't get hung up on anything when the saddle's being put away or when the horse doesn't have a rider on its back. I mentioned it before, this whole part of the saddle here is called the flap. There would normally be 2 flaps on a different saddle. This one just has 1 flap. The part that touches the horse's back is called the panel. This is the seat here. This would be the pommel. This would be the cantle. Don't ask me how they got their names. It's just what it is. Inside the saddle is the tree. The tree has a shape that is designed to fit the horse's back. Saddles are very personal to each person because they have to fit you as a rider, both your seat size and your leg length, and then the horse's back as well. So that's why you'll see some people use half pads to make a saddle adjust to fit different horses. However, the wrong saddle can be very painful for the horse and put the rider in a very uncomfortable position or a bad position. And so if you're going to get into seriously riding, I do recommend that you have a saddle fitter help you pick out a saddle that can fit you and hopefully a variety of horses if you don't own your own. The most important investment you can make is into your safety and your position. Otherwise, it's an uphill battle trying to learn to ride a horse. So yeah, that's a little bit about the saddle. Like I said, I'll do a demonstration on tacking them once I have my tripod in and you guys can see how that all goes on.